Hi, I'm Bill Rubenstein, your SAT expert for professorate.com. Sentence completion questions usually come first on each SAT critical reading section. Frequently there are 7 or 8 questions, starting out easy and working up to 2 or 3 difficult ones. While the number of questions might vary, the format is always the same. You'll see a sentence from which either 1 or 2 words have been removed, and after this you'll see 5 answer choices. As always on the SAT, resist the temptation to look at the answers first. Go there only if you're absolutely stumped about the meaning of the sentence and you need a jump start. Start instead by analyzing the sentence. What are the clues as to the meaning of the missing word? Does it go along with part of the sentence? Does it disagree with part of the sentence? There will almost always be obvious clues. Let's look at a typical example. An orderly accountant, Sarah, kept neat records in blank organized filing cabinets. This is pretty straightforward, isn't it? We know the following things about the missing word, which we should always refer to only as blank. Blank refers to the organization of the filing cabinets kept by Sarah, who is orderly and neat. So what can we predict about this organization? Will it be sloppy organization? I don't think so. So we can predict that blank will be a positive thing. By the way, you'll want to assign a word charge to every blank you encounter on the test if you can. Sometimes, in fact, the only thing you'll know is the word charge, and that alone might get you the answer. Now, this example is straightforward, but the test makers spend up to a year developing each new SAT, and they don't get bonuses by inventing easy examples. Okay, so we know that blank will be a positive word that has to do with the way Sarah organizes her files. Shall we come up with a possible word for blank? Let's try. How about carefully? It makes sense, doesn't it? Now, remember, we're not saying that the word carefully is the answer. It's just a prediction. Think of your brain as a search engine. Your processing of this answer is going to be like an internet search. You want to start with a word or two that will get you the result you want, the right answer. You'll do it exactly the way a search engine gets you your answer online, by eliminating everything that doesn't match. Here's the sentence again. An orderly accountant, comma, Sarah kept neat records in blank organized filing cabinets. Let's look at the 5 answer choices. A, cleanly. B, cursorily. C, meticulously. D, mendaciously. E, pathetically. Ouch. Just when we thought the right answer would be obvious, well, actually it is obvious for the people in the room with good vocabulary. But for the rest of us, well, suddenly the question is looking a little bit more difficult, isn't it? We know we can rule out the negative words, but which are they? Probably you know that pathetic isn't good, so most of us will be happy to say goodbye to E. But what do you do about mendaciously? Well, if you don't know the meaning of the word or the charge of the word, you better leave it on your list. It's like ending up with a search online where you've got 5,000 choices. Better than 5 billion choices, but it's still not ideal. So we're left with 4 choices in this case. Let's take our prediction and rub that against those choices and see what happens. How does carefully react with cleanly? You like it? Okay, leave it on the list. How does it react to cursorily? What is cursorily anyway? Well, if you don't know, ask yourself, what is a cursor? That thing on your computer. How does it move? Quickly, right? So does that sound careful? No. So using this kind of reasoning, we can probably strike that off the list. You're down to 3 choices now. At this point, the odds are in your favor, even if you guess. Cleanly, meticulously, and mendaciously. No, we're not guessing cleanly, meticulously, and mendaciously. Those are the words. Do you know the meaning of meticulous? Not exactly. And you definitely don't know the meaning of mendacious unless you're one of those people out there gloating. So, what do? Go with cleanly because you know it? Not so fast. Is cleanly really the same thing as carefully? Think carefully and cleanly. Is thinking carefully the same thing as thinking cleanly? Come to think of it, do you drive cleanly or carefully? So careful and clean aren't the same thing after all, are they? So now we can be pretty sure that even though careful and clean might go together better than careful and pathetic, they're really not at all the same. And in fact, not even that much alike. See what we're doing here? We're filtering words, and we're using our predictions to do it. So now we're down to meticulous and mendacious, and let's assume you don't know the meaning of either. Are you really stuck making a random guess? Not if you try one more technique, which is not scientific, but anyway, hear me out on it. If you're living in the real world, and most of us are, I trust the fact that you're watching this online doesn't mean you're online wasting time on less edifying websites every day, right? So you're living in the real world and you're hearing lots of words all the time, even if you're tuning most of them out. You actually know something about a lot more words than you think you do. You just don't use these words as part of your everyday speech. In fact, this is due in part to the fact that we live in a consumer culture that speaks to the lowest level whenever possible, and most of us don't want to even admit that we know more than the dummies. But that's a subject for a sociology paper, not a test prep talk. So, right now I want you to try this last-ditch technique, which I call the movie score. Take the two choices you've got and read them out loud. Not on the test, not on test day, but here, now, while you're training. Now, one at a time, give your sentences a movie score on a scale of 1 to 10. If you've got even the least bit experience hearing the words, you might just find you know a lot more about them than you think. And especially you'll know when they don't fit in and where they do. So let's try this technique with C, an orderly accountant. Sarah kept neat records in meticulously organized filing cabinets. How does that sound? Good. You want to give it about an 8, right? Okay. Let's try D. An orderly accountant, Sarah kept neat records in mendaciously organized filing cabinets. I hope, at least for some of you, that didn't sound as good, did it? If you're in that category, congratulations, you just picked a correct answer from between two words, neither of which you knew. Now, don't get overly excited. Search engines get correct answers from between billions of choices, and that software doesn't know the meaning of any of the choices they're choosing between. So it doesn't make you a genius. It just means you're thinking like a computer. You're reasoning. Remember, here are the steps. Analyze the sentence. Make your predictions, eliminate, and match. By the way, some of the questions will have 2 blanks, and it gives you twice the opportunity to eliminate bad answers. So if you use these simple techniques, your chances of getting the right answer are even greater than with just one. I'm Bill Rubenstein, your SAT expert for ProfessorIt.com.